All right, so common sense prevails in Norway. That's right. Who here saw the news? Good news from Norway. So let's have a little bit of a talk about it, because the way I see it is that if Norway can do it, then why can't we do it? All right, so what do we have here? Why am I saying this? All right, so from lifeinnorway.net, Norway reopens, government lifts all national restrictions. All right, so even social media, social media probably should be scrapped for the most part, but social distancing has been chucked out, mask mandates, density limits, things like that. So let's have a look at here. It says here, when the authorities' advice and rules essentially disappear, the individual can choose for themselves what risk they want to take and what measures they want to practice. Okay, so it says similar measures were taken in Denmark a month ago. And that's all we've been asking for since the inception of this corona situation. We don't need the government micromanaging our lives. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, the government makes one appointment after another where something like contact tracing commander or some type of title to that effect. Convince the public that you need this bureaucrat. They put them on a big paycheck while everyone else is losing their money. Whereas it is a simple matter of human decency that we, the people, we should be in charge for managing our own risk and taking precautions necessary to the risk of which we perceive. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you want to walk down the street wearing a hazmat suit and 20 face masks or an astronaut costume, then go ahead and do it. I couldn't care less. Just stay out of my business and stop policing how I live my life in terms of my health. Okay, we should all be free to choose whether or not we want to take certain vitamins or preventatives of certain drugs whose name I probably shouldn't mention, or I might be getting taken down off Facebook. So nice to see some common sense over there in Norway, and we very much hope that we can join their ranks. But I think before we do so, we're going to need a major shuffling of the seats in Parliament. We see some nice prospects out there. Who here likes the work of Craig Kelly and Clive Palmer? I think there's some real good things in the pipeline, but honestly, it couldn't come soon enough. So check this out. Also in Norway, Norway lifts quarantine requirements for non-vaccinated travelers from Italy, France, Netherlands, and 8 others. And this seems to be a trend. All right, so in addition to scrapping their restrictions, they're beginning to say, come on in. It looks like New Zealand may be soon to be added to this list. So what does that tell you? It tells you that they're just not really concerned, are they? Maybe the government took a good look at the infection fatality rate of the Delta strain, and maybe they sat back and said, yeah, we probably shouldn't be destroying people's lives over this. We probably shouldn't be exacerbating a mental health crisis in children due to the infection fatality rate of the Delta strain. We probably shouldn't be sending our police force to smash people's heads in because they're not standing 1.5 meters apart or not wearing a cloth on their face. So look at this. So they're saying if you're not vaccinated, come on in. No obligation to quarantine. So no sitting in a hotel for 2 weeks. Look at this. France that has major restrictions, right? Iceland, Italy, Luxembourg, Malta, Monaco, Portugal, San Marino, Slovakia, the Netherlands, and Vatican City, which, yes, that is a country. And we hope for Australia to join the list. What I'd like to see happen is for there to be a obviously we would like pre-COVID, right? But I'm not sure how possible that is, at least in the foreseeable future. We'd like to see, say, a series of bilateral travel arrangements between nations whereby we can pass between nations without this rubbish of quarantining, without this rubbish of mandatory vaccinations, and hope to form an alliance of common sense countries, and Norway may be in it. Who here would be interested in taking a trip to Norway? It looks like a beautiful country. All right, so we also see here Norway rules out mandatory vaccines ahead of the Beijing Games. So for their athletes over there, they've said, no, we don't think that you should have to take it to go and compete in the Olympics, unlike many other countries around the world, which are, of course, using the coercive measures. Well, do you really want to achieve your Olympic dreams? If you do, roll your sleeves up, take this, shut your mouth, and go and do it, right? So Norway's saying no to that, and I think it's great that they're also saying no to allowing more and more countries in without the vaccine passport, without quarantine. The mainstream media in Australia described these measures as, quote, extreme. Okay, that was printed in the very fake news.com.au. There's nothing extreme about these measures This is simply called human decency, allowing people to do what they were put on this earth to be, which is free. Okay, and it really just falls in line with the Great Barrington Declaration, okay, signed by nearly 1 million people, tens of thousands of medical experts and scientific researchers. A great document. I'm not going to read it all, but if you'd like me to send it to you, go to mcjreport.com, sign up for my free newsletter. The Great Barrington Declaration, in my view, is a great document for how this entire crisis should have been handled. I'll refer to it as a crisis of government overreach and abuse. So I just have two little segments I want to read to you. And this is in relation to the corona situation. It says here, the most compassionate approach that balances the risks and benefits of reaching herd immunity is to allow those who are at minimal risk of death to live their lives normally, to build up immunity to the virus through natural infection while better protecting those who are at higher risk. We call this focused protection. We also call it just doing what we've always done, right? If you're sick, stay at home. If you're sick, don't visit your elderly grandparents who are probably on their way out, right? Don't cough on people. I mean, just be a considerate human being. Look after your own hygiene. And if you want to take it a few steps further, make sure you get some sunlight, take your vitamins, and, don't eat 10 supreme pizzas every day and down 5 liters of Coke, and let's just get on with it. Who here thinks that would be a good idea? Instead you've got these busybodies like Daniel Andrews and the contact tracing commander and a man who is supposedly a chief health officer just running around dictating every element of our lives. What an absolute disgrace. It goes on to say here, those who are not vulnerable should immediately be allowed to resume life as normal. Simple hygiene measures such as hand washing and staying at home when sick should be practiced by everybody. All right, well, and also what I say is that people who are at risk, it should be their choice whether they want to expose themselves to the risk. Is that fair enough? Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. If, for instance, let's just say, all right, a hypothetical situation, me, Morgan, host of the MCJ Report, even if I was at a 50% risk of dying from coronavirus, I would still not want the government telling me what I can do, what I can't do, when I can leave my home, how far I should go. If there's a 50% chance of me dying, it should be my choice whether or not I want to undertake that risk. A few months ago, I went for a drive out in country Victoria. I was up north around Woodend. Who here knows where Woodend is? And there were some terrible storms. And I was driving. I approached a road, and there was a sign. There was a sign before entering this road that said, "Enter at your own risk. Branches could be falling." So I stopped my car. I looked at the sign. I said, am I willing to expose myself to this risk of a big branch falling on my car? I sat there for a minute and I said, you know what? I'm up for it. I am voluntarily willing to have a branch crush my car. I'm going to take that risk. And if it happens, I'm not going to get angry with the government. I'm not going to get angry at anyone because I made that decision. And should it end badly, I will deal with the consequences. Who here thinks that that is just a basic element of being an adult, making your own decisions, determining your own risk, and, dealing with the consequences should it not work out too well? Isn't that just fair enough? I mean, the absolute tyranny that we've been subjected to, if anyone thinks that this is just purely about public health and safety, then there's nothing I can show you on this on my broadcast MCJ report to make you change your mind. I don't know. You're going to have to... I actually don't have any advice for you. If you're on board with the government and you love seeing these chaotic scenes of people being abused and people's rights eroded, then probably MCJ Report's just not going to be the show for you. MCJ Reporter for people who like asking questions, for people who say, well, I see A, B, and C going on. Maybe I agree with A and B, but I'm not sure about C. It's about asking questions and truly trying to understand whether or not the government is acting in our best interest or if they're simply serving their own career interests. And or maybe the interests of the pharmaceutical corporations whose shareholders are laughing all the way to the bank. Maybe they've got something to do with it as well. Hey, just putting it out there, I'm sure crazier things have happened. So, anyway, what we see around the world are people, getting back to normal in a lot of places. We see in the United States several great scenes. You probably don't recognize that flag, but that is the flag of Virginia. They've been having these huge college football games. I'm going to play you a little clip, and it sucks that we can't do it here in Melbourne, but we need to look at other places in the world where they are having success and take that success as a form of inspiration and set it as an objective that we must work for and fight for no matter the cost. I'm going to play you this clip right now.
Save your boat.